This is Greg Troutwine. I'm the editor of Maritime Reporter and Engineering News. We're here with Maritime Reporter TV at the Shipping Insight 2016. We're with Brendan Saunders of NCC Group. Brendan, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you for letting me join and talk to you.
Absolutely. Brendan, we just had a brief discussion on NCC Group, but could you share with our viewers just a little background on who NCC Group is?
Sure. NCC Group is the world's largest cybersecurity consultancy. Head office in the UK, in Manchester. I work out of our London office. We've got sites all across the world, from the UK, the US, Australia, Singapore, unrivaled global reach. We have the largest cybersecurity consulting team on the planet, 600 plus consultants, covering a range of expertise from penetration testing through to other assurance activities, risk management and governance, PCI, ISO 27001, which gives us an opportunity to really make a difference amongst businesses and help them to secure themselves from a range of different angles.
I believe you have some maritime experience as well. Can you give me your personal maritime experience?
Yeah, of course. So I'm actually a reserve officer in the Royal Navy in the UK. So I've got quite a lot of experience at working with vessel operators, looking at how to secure themselves from a range of different threats, not just cybersecurity, but counter piracy, maritime security as well. And that's something that I do on a regular basis.
Okay. Well, as you know, the maritime industry is a unique industry. And I would imagine that it is so from the cybersecurity aspect as well. Can you tell us some differences or key differences you see in the maritime world versus land-based cybersecurity?
I think from my perspective, the key thing that's made the real difference with maritime cybersecurity is that everything is an awfully long way behind what we've seen in most other industries around the world. And that comes because ships have only recently started to become these floating connected platforms in the way that we're starting to see today. If you go back 5 years or so, you didn't really see the connectivity of ships in the way that we have now. Now with fleet broadband, with VSAT, you're getting 5 and 10 megabit download speeds to ships. They're always connected. It's no longer this once a day or just alongside connectivity. And so really with this raft of new technology, you've not seen the implementation of cybersecurity that we've seen across the board in a lot of other industries, because ships are not really seen as branch offices, which ostensibly is what they've really become today. They've become branch offices. And I think also the life cycle of ships is something that people, particularly in the cyber industry, really don't appreciate, in that ships last for 20, 30 years in some cases, and they weren't designed to have these integrated systems. So things are put together piecemeal. They're not put in a lot of cases, unless they're a new build, they're not put in as this one piece fit. So new bits of technology are added, they're plugged in, it's all very ad hoc from different manufacturers, and there's very rarely this single overview of the technology on board a ship and how it should be separated and secured.
That's excellent. We talk about attitudes in the maritime industry quite often and in many different respects. And I would assume, since this technology is still relative, or technology and connectivity on ships is still relatively new, the attitudes toward cybersecurity are, shall we say, evolving as well. Can you just give us a brief on the attitudes you see in the maritime industry towards cybersecurity, and particularly any areas that might need some change?
I think the attitudes are really starting to change. I think when you look at a lot of people who've been working in the maritime industry for a long time, ship's masters are not people who come in as ship's masters. They're people who have trained from, in a lot of cases, a very young age, and they've achieved their position through doing so. But in a lot of cases, technologies like the internet, like email, like this kind of always-on instant access are new to them. They're not technologies they've used day to day. If they've been at sea for 20 or 30 years, actually they've not been using this technology day to day. So they've sometimes missed out on some of that evolution. And they don't necessarily understand the threats. And so a lot of what we're trying to do at the moment is about education. And people see the threat, but they're not being given a really easy way to resolve things. And I think the industry likes solutions. They don't want to just hear about the problems. They want a really clear set of guidance on how to move forwards.
Okay. And I would assume your participation here in Stanford at Shipping Insight is part of the plank to spread the word, shall we say. Obviously, you're here to discuss cybersecurity in Stanford at Shipping Insight. Can you, and you had indicated that you want to just give 2 clear takeaways. Can you share with us what those takeaways will be?
Absolutely. I think from our point of view, the problem really needs to be solved by two key sets of people. So it's the vessel operators and the OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers. What I really want to give as a takeaway to the vessel operators is about network segregation. So it's about understanding what kit you have on your bridge, what kit you have over the rest of your ship. And we're really, my research really gives us 4 key zones on a ship in terms of technology. You've got your red, which is your industrial systems, like engine and cooling and gearing and steering. You've got your blue systems, so your AIS, your ECDIS, your GMDSS systems. You've got your black, which is your uncontrolled crew internet, crew Wi-Fi, and then your green, which is your back office. And if you can just categorize all of your systems into those big handfuls, and then work on ways to separate those out. And the technology there is quite simple to do that. That's not hard stuff to do. It's what people do in their offices, and most of the shipping companies who are getting this wrong on ships, getting it right in their offices. It's about moving that implementation and just seeing your ship as a branch office. For the OEMs, it's about product assurance. It is a responsibility of people making the technology goes on ships to make sure that they're getting external validation for their products. And we've got this great responsibility divide that I talk about quite a lot in my blogs, and on stage I'll talk about that again today, that actually OEMs say it's the vessel operators' problem to deal with cybersecurity. Vessel operators say they expect to buy safe, secure technology from the OEM, so it's their problem. And in the middle, we've got this chasm that needs to be filled, and both parties need to approach it. And that's why I'm giving one key takeaway to each of those parties today. Okay.
Well, if you blog, we have a maritime logistics professional, and you need to blog for us because we're always looking for good content. Again, this is Greg Troutwine with Maritime Reporter TV. Brendan, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right.